My life had always revolved around science. I was a dedicated researcher at the Biotech Research Institute, a place where groundbreaking experiments and discoveries were an everyday occurrence. I never imagined that I would one day become the subject of a life-altering experiment myself. It all began on a seemingly ordinary day in the lab. I was part of a team working on a project that aimed to develop a new generation of antiviral drugs. We were on the cusp of a major breakthrough, or so we thought. As I worked diligently in the sterile environment of the lab, a sudden alarm pierced the air. Red lights flashed, and emergency announcements blared over the intercom. A breach had occurred in one of the containment areas, a breach that released a highly experimental viral compound. Panic spread like wildfire among my colleagues, but we had been trained for emergencies. We rushed to secure the area, donning hazmat suits and isolating the contaminated zone. It was a race against time to prevent the virus from spreading further. Despite our best efforts, it was too late for me. In the chaos that ensued, I had been exposed to the viral compound. It was a slow and insidious process, one that began with a mild fever and fatigue. I thought it was a common cold, nothing more. But as the hours passed, my condition deteriorated rapidly. My skin took on a sickly pallor, and my movements became slow and clumsy. It was as if my body had turned against me. I was placed in isolation, cut off from the outside world as my condition worsened. It was a living nightmare. I watched helplessly as my body underwent a horrifying transformation. My skin became mottled and gray, my teeth elongated into sharp points, and an insatiable hunger gnawed at my insides. I knew what was happening. I was turning into a zombie. The virus had infected me, and there was no cure in sight. My colleagues, driven by a mixture of guilt and determination, worked tirelessly to find a cure for me. They were well aware of the consequences if they failed, a full-scale outbreak that could decimate the city. Days turned into nights, and hope began to wane. The virus had taken hold of me, and my consciousness was slipping away. I could hear their desperate conversations outside my isolation chamber, their voices tinged with frustration and despair. Just when all seemed lost, a breakthrough occurred. One of my colleagues, Dr. Emily Carter, discovered a potential antidote, a compound that showed promise in reversing the effects of the virus. It was a long shot, but it was all we had. They administered the antidote to me, and I could feel its effects almost immediately. The insatiable hunger that had consumed me began to subside, and the gray pallor of my skin slowly receded. It was a moment of cautious hope, but we knew that the battle was far from over. Over the course of the next week, I underwent a grueling recovery process. The antidote had halted the progression of the virus, but it had not fully reversed its effects. I still bore the physical scars of my transformation, and my memories of those dark days haunted my dreams. My colleagues, relentless in their determination to save me, monitored my progress around the clock. They were not only my saviors, but also my lifeline to the world I had almost lost.